Welcome to the second day of our seminar. Today we will talk about need forming and secondary benefits. In other words, what keeps you in situation that you are in at the moment. Every day we have different needs. Need for food, clothing, social environment, interactions, and many more. Have you ever thought that 30 years ago people had slightly different needs than we have at the moment? Well, I did. And for quite a long time, I was wondering why, for example, my grandmother's generation is much more value driven, whereas my generation is more driven by needs. The thing is that at the end of the 20th century, our social model system changed from welfare society with a strong middle class of producers to consumer society, where we have mass user and mass consumer. Of course, it was accompanied by technological progress. This kind of change also had the impact on our mental structure, meaning that average modern human feels good in socium if he bears particular status of consumer. For example, if I have a car, house, can afford particular services, and not because I have some sort of talent, skills, or knowledge. Interesting fact is that exactly our needs make us active in one or another part of our life. On the left side, you can see the cycle of need forming, and on the right side, there are samples of few emotions. Our emotions are indicators. They show us the level of need satisfaction and if we have a right behavior strategy for us. The stronger the emotion, the higher the level of satisfaction or frustration of the need. I'm telling you this because for many years I was dividing my emotions in good and bad, without having a slightest clue that the bad emotion actually shows me that I'm on the wrong way for myself. Once this understanding came, my perception absolutely totally shifted, and I started my way towards finding my inner and outer balance. Because at the end of the day, I am responsible for my emotional state, I am responsible for my well-being and for my perception of the outer world. The first step is getting understanding about your own individual mental processes. Let's start. First phase is activation of the need. We start to feel tension and we are aware that we need something. For example, I feel hunger, I need food. Second phase is search. What or who can fulfill my need? If we talk about the child, he would possibly choose a mother. If we talk about the adult life, then we could possibly choose the restaurant. Next phase is action. It's an action targeted to need fulfillment. Child would, for example, look for his mother. The adult decides to go to the restaurant that he has selected. If the restaurant was open and food was served, you reach the fulfillment stage. If the food was good, you get as a reward emotion, happiness. If food was great, outstanding, then you feel a bliss. The same happens to the child. If the mother was found and cooked for him, he feels happy or blissful. However, if at this point restaurant was closed or child didn't find his mother, we move to frustration phase. In this phase, after feeling for some time frustrated and dissatisfied about situation, we go to switch phase. In switch phase, we have three options. Going back to search phase. So, for example, if we chose restaurant, we can choose fulfillment object of going home and cooking there. And then the cycle goes step by step up until fulfillment and switching to the new need. Or second option, we go back to action phase. So we keep the option restaurant and we just go to the different restaurant. Or we realize, for example, that we have not much time left in our lunch break and we need to go back to work. So we switch to the different need. However, this one remains frustrated, we feel angry, and we remain that way up until the point of fulfillment. It's very interesting that human in average can have up until 10 needs at a time. This cycle goes over and over again and applies to all fields of our life. We can find the wrong person in a search phase in order to fulfill our need of love, or find the right person on a search phase, but then use the wrong behavior strategy in action phase. And in this never-ending cycle, it's very important to recognize your own emotions and emotions of others. This is really your little helper. And the next step after that is recognition of the need that stands behind this emotion and behavior strategy that you used. You're possibly sitting now and thinking, sounds great, Eva, I would do that, but I don't know how. Therefore, I want to share with you the instrument that I use. It's called Emotion Diary. It will be available for download for you. I find useful to set it on my phone and do a little self-analysis in frustrating situations. It's a similar job we normally do also in my psychology sessions with my clients, but this little instrument can give you a little insight and give you a track on when it started and what was the outcome and what are the different strategies I can use. On the screen now you can see an example of Emotion Diary. On the very left you can see the time. Why is it important to write the time? Because there are also physiological things that happen to us. For example, in a very early morning the hormone cortisol is being produced in our body, and then we feel more stressed. In late times in the evening we get melatonin, and therefore we feel more tired and sleepy. And by starting tracking frustrating situations, you will also understand, you will see possibly the correlation between times and different situations that happens. Second is situation. What happened? What was I doing? For example, I was on the way to work, stuck in a traffic jam. Thoughts. Why exactly today? I have so much to do. You need to write your thoughts in order to understand and feel your emotion deeper. As you see, the emotion in the situation is irritation. What important need was frustrated? To be a responsible worker. Need of belonging, most likely. What I could have done differently. This cell shows you the different behavior strategies that you can use. Better planning of the day, calling a boss, taking a public transport. So one of these strategies possibly will satisfy you if the situation repeats on daily basis, and then you can use this behavior strategy to create the different algorithm of the day. Conclusion. What did my emotion tell me? What do I want from this situation? This cell is very important because you will learn which emotion indicates you what. So in this case, the emotion showed that it's important for me to feel good in my time schedule. It's important for me to have a good image at work, so I rather get up early than lose my image. So technically speaking, this little analysis, if you will do it on every frustrating situation, will really give you an image of your behavior strategy. And this is really a base of learning about yourself, the things that possibly you keep forgetting on daily basis. Now, after we have spoken about need forming, there might be some of you who are sitting and thinking, I know that, I knew that since a very long time, it doesn't change a thing in my life. It doesn't change the fact that my personal private life is on hold, or that my career or business is not moving forward. All of that doesn't matter. I understand you. Maybe you're familiar with the term secondary benefits. My best example in this context is my experience with my business partners. From very beginning of the time, I always had a business partner, always, and I constantly complained about every little thing. Of course, I wasn't in a contact with my emotions, so I couldn't track the real need, the true need behind it. However, now when I look back, I can tell you that my secondary benefits in being in a partnership were safety, ability to divide the tasks more evenly, therefore less stress for me, and of course someone to put a blame on if something went wrong. So now, if you are asking yourself a question, why am I not getting what I want? I want you to sit down and ask yourself following questions and answer them with brutal honesty. So the first question is, what are my benefits of staying in this situation? Or why is it good for me to leave the things as they are? Be brutally honest with yourself. And second part is, what will I lose if I will achieve what I want? It might seem to you that you are not self-sabotaging. However, if you are not having in your life something that you could realistically have, it is always about secondary benefits. Why is it so hard for us to change our behavior? The thing is that for our mind, it is much more comfortable to stay in a current state with current strategies that has been already formed in our neural network and accepted as needed for survival. So whenever we try to change them, our psyche has to go through extreme stress. And therefore we find ourselves in many different states, and these states sometimes can bring us back to old. However, if you understand that this is loop of habit and that the stress is just a regular process that you need to go through, the new neural networks are formed and new habits are accepted as needed for survival. I know that these things we spoke about today, they are really hard to change, and the process itself is extremely hard. However, it is very rewarding if you actually manage to go through that. I can tell you that from my own experience. And I believe that if you are here, then you will achieve everything that you have set your mind to. That's all for today. It was I, Eva Spruzane, and I will see you tomorrow.